One of the core principles of my message is to be a lover of uncertainty, for only when we understand how to love uncertainty, we will see the truth. But unfortunately, for many people, they're going to seek comfort in their ideas of concepts and their concepts of ideas, these illusions that make them feel like they're actually spiritually sedated. And in that spiritual sedation, they're going to feel as though they've got it. They've got the truth. And yet those who truly understand, there's nothing to get. Because that's when you have the inner standing. The inner standing comes when you let go of trying to understand something and you just accept it. The mind will continually give you these patterns and repeat certain patterns until the heart discovers what it is that is meant to be perceived or understood in this mathematical construct that we live in. And so one thing that you're going to have to face and one thing that you're going to have to recognize is that there will be many people who will not be able to handle the truth. And it's only when you realize how it's too much to handle that everything will begin to work out for you. Everything begins to work out once you accept that it's too much. Once you accept that it's just too much to handle, it's no longer too much to handle. And the proclivity that people have when they are living in this mathematical construct and the matrix, whatever you want to call it, when they actually pursue and have this proclivity to pursue and chase frequencies, like for example, money is a frequency. Okay, relationships are a frequency. Sexual encounters, those are frequencies. All of these friendships, whatever you want, I don't really necessarily have friends myself. I like to think of myself as someone who has people that I build with and people that I don't build with. I don't really have friends. I've been saying this for years. I have people that I don't necessarily consider friends, but I would more so consider them brothers or long lost relatives, because family is really something that you choose. And this is something that I continually see in my one-on-one sessions and the Godlike Mastery offer that I have, as well as the Regal Academy, that no matter who you are around the world, we're really not so different. And yet, simultaneously, we're all very, very unique. And this puts us in an auspicious position where we are considering the greatness of our own selves and our own minds and our own hearts and our own souls, while simultaneously being humbled by that. It's the that. This is something that Alan Watts has frequently mentioned in his books and his works. And I'm not saying that I follow Alan Watts, but I think that when I look at certain things through a lens of timelessness now, I can see the emanation of truth radiating itself through these works in a very particular type of way. And it's not to say that certain people or certain things are going to happen in regard to these situations with people, because it's not about the person, really. It's about what's being received on your end. It's about the message being received for you, because ultimately you are going to be the only one that can truly discern what is true and what is real. Because real and reality, realness, is a configuration of concepts or ideas that are shaped into this dream world. But that doesn't mean that it's not a real experience or that it could be a true experience. it just means that there's a difference between reality and truth from my semantic perspective and lens. And the reason that I have this is simply because when you understand the Regal timeline theory, and something that the Regal Change old timers will know much about, is that the way in which you perceive timelines is going to be important. So Buddha, for example, he talked a lot about attachment. Nietzsche talked a lot about social morality. And me, myself, I am talking about timeline perception and the perception of time inside the timelines that you're in to move into a place of timelessness. And, you might say, well, if you're talking about timelessness and timelessness is formless, it's a form of formlessness, then why even talk about it, right? Why even talk about it if we can't even handle it? Why talk about it? Well, the reason that we talk about it is because there's a door that is needing to be shown unto you so that you can explore the playground of this entire existence. You can get closer to the soul of existence by entering this door. You could also choose another door if you want, but I'm showing you a door right here, right now. And you can enter this door if you so choose. It's almost like, seeing that there's a room that you're always in, right? Maybe consider this a metaphor of the mind. You're in a room, and all of a sudden when you hit a certain part of the wall and you touch a certain part of the wall, it's like, whew, all of a sudden the door that was never there is now opened. That's exactly how it is when you recognize that you've actually confined yourself. And that's why this construct is almost too much to handle. Everybody's talking about the war, and all of a sudden everybody is an expert in these certain routes and traits or straits or whatever they're called, right? Whatever that strait is between Taiwan and China right now, right? Whatever that is, I can't remember what the name exactly is, but everybody's now an expert in that. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, nobody was mentioning anything about it, right? Now everybody knows about it. Everybody's suddenly an expert in it. And the thing is that while I am not a proponent of certifications, I am a proponent of, do you have the verifiable structured evidence to match what exactly it is that you're talking about? Because if I cannot verify anything, then I don't see the reason in pursuing anything that you're talking about. And the reason being is because I trust my own experience, and I encourage you to trust your own experience. And it's not to say that I don't think that people maybe have perspectives that they can't truly verify that aren't real. But the thing is that if something's true, it's going to be able to be observed from a multitude of perspectives and be seen and verified as something that is truthful. And for example, this is one of the reasons why Bitcoin is such a very fascinating topic, right? And in the Regal Academy, I've been leaning more toward understanding these fortune strategists or financial strategist perspectives when it comes to identifying how it correlates and contrasts with spirituality, is because the more you understand Bitcoin, for example, and I'm not saying that you should go buy Bitcoin. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that once you understand the mechanics of it, you understand why it's such a revolutionary tool. Now, it could be the best thing ever. It could be the worst thing ever down the line. Who knows? Because we've never seen a truly finite resource before. We've just never seen that. And it's entirely possible that it can be lost in the ether hundreds of years from now, right? It's entirely possible that could happen. But the thing is that it's not about that. It's about the mechanics and the structure behind it. Me, myself, the ways in which I'm progressing and growing on my own spiritual path is I am being more of an architect for people rather than a guide. I am showing you certain things because it's my duty to show you something to serve you. If I really want to be of service to you, I'm going to show you something. I'm not going to just tell you something. And I show you because that is exactly the way that we actually magnify our own presence and experience when it comes to this reality, right? And the Regal timeline theory allows you to perceive this in a new lens that maybe you didn't see that before, right? Maybe you didn't see time the way that you see time now after understanding, or rather, understanding the Regal timeline theory. The Regal timeline theory suggests that there are patterns of convergence that happen through timelines, and you can see this in astrology, you can see this in finance, you can see it in how, have you ever heard the saying that millionaires don't believe in astrology, but billionaires do? And that's really something we're thinking about, because, well, why would the billionaire believe in astrology, but not the millionaire? That in of itself is kind of a conundrum, isn't it? Well, it's because these billionaires, they are using the pattern convergence signals of time to their own advantage. And why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they at all? You see, the people that I have worked with in one-on-ones in the Godlike Mastery, for example, these are people that are usually more well off, right? They're usually more well off, and they have a very particular perspective of the world that just shows them that there was something more to it. Like, I remember I was talking to a guy about a year ago or so, and he was making like $20,000 a month, not a year, a month, at this like sales job, right? He was making $20,000 a month at this sales job, and he got to the point to where money really wasn't an issue for him. But then all of a sudden he started to realize that it's not really fulfilling for him anymore. He got it, but now it's like, well, now what? And in retrospect, I don't go back on the recommendation that I told him. I told him basically to be Batman. I said, like, dude, you're at a point where you could just be Batman. Like, why not just be Batman? Why not just do that? Like, if money really isn't an issue for you at this point, be fucking Batman. If it's too much to handle, if your trauma of life is too much to handle, have absolute assumption because if you have free will, there is no reason for you to have the perception of worry in your mind. There's no need for you to ever think about worry or even will yourself toward worry at all. If you truly believe that you have free will, why would you do that? Why would you do that to yourself? If you have free will, why would you do that? See, this is the thing where being Batman comes into play. Just be Batman. If you're to a point now, and you can do this no matter who you are, right? Because at this point, we can't really afford to know our limitations. And this is something that Batman in The Dark Knight, I believe, the one with the Joker, he said this along these lines of, I can't afford to know my limitations. Like, Batman has no limitations. And Alfred says to Batman, he's like, well, but Bruce Wayne does. And he's like, well, I can't afford to know them. That's exactly how we have to be at this point. If you can't really, if you just choose not to afford to know your limitations and just move forward and progress in such a way that, yeah, it's going to be too much to handle, but it's going to be so much to handle that everything just works out for you, and just trust the soul of existence that everything's going to be okay, and really feel that. Now, feeling it isn't quite enough. I don't think so. I think you have to feel it and then do something about it. I don't think that you can just fantasize about things just to fantasize about things. You have to actually do something. So, for example, Neville Goddard, whoever isn't familiar, very interesting subjects and works to look at. I'm not saying I completely adhered to his frame of reference of mind and such, but he's very intriguing. And in fact, it was one of the people in the Regal Academy that actually really inspired me to look more into it and see the more depth behind what he was actually saying, because I wrote him off as this New Ager a long time ago when I was still very deep in the Jesus Christ is God and only God. That's it. Like Jesus Christ was a physical person, etc. I'm not denying Jesus Christ, by the way. I'm just saying that I have a new perspective of this. But my point being is that when Neville Goddard says to feel things, and you can just feel things and truly feel it, and you'll embody it and you'll manifest it. The thing is that I see manifestation as in the Regal timeline theory, through that lens, as a symbolic differentiation practice, so a creative practice, into understanding the pattern convergence signals and the probabilistic actualization outcomes. So when I say probabilistic actualization, I mean that there's a probability that you're going to manifest something and actualize something given the steps that you take to do that thing. So if you take certain steps toward, let's say you want to feel, I don't know, you want to feel like you're going to have a positive, healthy relationship, in the future. And you embody that, you sit there and you meditate and all right, what would it feel like for me to be in a healthy dynamic with a woman or a man or whatever, whoever you are watching this, if you're male or female. And because I'm getting more females on this channel, interestingly enough. But let's say you sit there and you feel, okay, that's what it would feel like. All right, I'm gonna manifest that. But then you don't go out there and you don't do anything. Well, at that point, you're just fantasizing. And that's putting you in a fake reality. Because that reality is real, but it's fake. It's a fake reality. Now, what do I mean by this? Because some people might not get the semantics, right? I mean to say that your semantics, your inner dictionary, should it match the arsenal of my internal dictionary, then we will understand, or rather, again, understand each other. So we will understand one another once our inner dictionaries and our dialogues and our thesauruses match one another. This is why understanding is really useless as far as a semantic term for me. I like the term understanding, because if I can understand you, then I am moving into your spirit and you're emanating your spirit. So really, when it comes back to manifestation, like, let's say this, you can feel so many different things. You can fantasize about a lot of different things. I could fantasize, like when I was little, my celebrity crush was Selena Gomez, because hallelujah for Latinas, right? And before she went all whatever happened to her, I don't know what happened to her, but like, she was my celebrity crush growing up. I love Selena Gomez. I could fantasize about being with Selena Gomez all that I wanted as a teenager. Right? I could fantasize all that I wanted. But I was never making any steps to like be on Wizards of Waverly Place or singing or what, like to be anywhere near where she was actually going to be to even try to start something with her. So although I was feeling these things, I was really just fantasizing a fake reality. So what I'm saying here is that when it gets too much, when life gets to be too much, because it will sooner or later, feel what you want to embody, assume everything's going to work out, and then start to do things that are probabilistic in that actualization. You're going to increase the probability of that feeling being actually real, and not just real in the sense of a fake reality. It's going to be a truthful real rather than a real truth. So, with all that being said, I hope that this message was useful and insightful for you. I hope everybody stays blessed. Peace. Until next time.